Hey girls, so the first thing that we're going to be starting with is just a simple leg stretch, much like we do at practice every time we meet. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to start in our normal straddle. And we want to make sure while we're doing all of these stretches, our toes are pointed toward the back because that's the position that you want to be in when you're doing your toe touches. So we need to get in the habit of stretching that. So the first thing we're going to do is take one hand and put it up under this thigh, and take your other hand and reach over and try to grab those toes or the side of your foot, inside of your foot, either way, as long as you're making contact over there. And you'll feel a stretch underneath your leg and also up your side. And we're just going to hold that for a little bit. Now we're just going to reverse it and do the exact same thing, going the other way. Okay, the next thing I want us to do is just put your hands out in front, keep those toes pointed backwards, and we're just going to be walking our hands forward. And you want to do your best to keep your feet pointed back, and also try to push your belly button to your floor. Pushing your chest down doesn't really stretch nearly as well as pushing that belly button forward. And just walk your hands out as far as you can. Alright, now we're going to bring it in for a butterfly. And there's actually two parts to this butterfly. We want to try to push our knees down to the floor. We don't want to bounce on them. We just want to give them a nice, good, solid push and get them to the max level that they will go down. And then we're going to do our best to put our chin on the ground in front of us. It's kind of the same thing. You want to try to push your belly button to the floor because it pushes you so much further than if you're just trying to place only your face down. So you want to push outward. Next, we're just going to be sitting in a pike. And we want to reach out, keeping your legs straight and attempting to keep your toes pointed just because that's good practice. And we want to reach out and try to grab onto our feet and pull ourselves down. Okay, then we're going to reach down and try to get as far under our feet as we possibly can. I can't grab very far under mine. And then we're just going to pull back, and you should feel that in the back of your calves, maybe even up the back of your knees a little bit. Just pulling them up. Alright, the next thing we're going to go into is lunges. And for these lunges, we're going to do a runner's lunge, which means that our knee is not going to be on the ground. So when we're doing our lunges, we want to make sure that our knee is not passing our toe. In other words, we're not doing this. We want to keep it either directly in line or a tad bit behind. And we want to be up on our toes, really pushing down. You should feel the stretch in the front of this thigh, and also a little bit through here. Alright, next we're going to place that knee on the ground, straighten the front leg, put both hands on your foot or near your foot, just so they're up here in this area. And then we want to kind of rock back, and you'll feel a huge stretch up the back of this front leg. Alright, now we're going to switch and do the exact same thing on the other side. So we got that big runner's lunge. Our knee is not over our toes and our back leg is almost straight. place that knee down and rock backwards. Great, okay, now we're going to switch back to that front leg and we're going to go down into our splits. Now something that's very important to remember during splits is technique. It matters a whole lot more that your technique is appropriate than that your split is going down very far. So we want our hips to stay as in line as possible, not completely turning our hips open. We want to keep them somewhat closed as we're sliding out. And toes pointed is always a good practice. Now we're going to flip over and do that left leg split. Notice that I'm not down nearly as far, that I'm keeping my hips facing forward as much as possible, my toes are pointed, and my technique is good. And that's what we want. Next, we're going to do everyone's favorite, that wonderful middle split. Now something that's really important on the middle split is you've got to give yourself room to slide. If your feet are flat against the floor like this, they can't slide. So you need to stay on the insides of your feet so that they can slide out as much as it hurts and as much as we hate it. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to go into, if you've ever done yoga, it's called a downward dog position. So we're going to be in this position right here. And what I want you to do is I want you to walk your feet. See, if you can feel that as you walk your feet out, you'll stretch less in the back of your calves. As you walk your feet up, you'll feel it begin to get tighter and stretch more. So I just want you to start out and slowly walk your feet in to where you feel a really big stretch, and I want you to just stay there, putting a lot of weight in your heels and stretching out the back of your legs and your calves. And if you want to go one foot at a time, that's not a bad idea because sometimes one hamstring is a lot more flexible than the other. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is called a pigeon. So we're going to start in a lunge position just to show you how to get to the pigeon. So it's much like a lunge where you're in this position, except this part of your leg is going to drop and be flat against the floor. So we're going to drop it to where it's here, but our back leg has remained exactly the same. We're just going to push into that. If you have to keep your hands on the floor, that's fine. Eventually you'll get down far enough where you can push out and you'll really feel that stretch going up like the back of your leg up to your lower back through there. And it's important that we not sit down. It's important that we stay over our leg that's down to really feel that stretch. Now we're going to switch it and go the other way. So same thing, if it helps, we can start in that lunge, and then this part of our leg is going to be the part that's going to go flat against the floor. And we'll be sure to keep our pressure over this hip so we can really feel that stretch. Guys, so much for watching and stretching with me.